wanted to have a conversation with all of you out there that can use your critical thinking skills. I just want to see if you are seeing the same things that I'm seeing. If certain things are resonating with you, like they are with me, in regards to what is happening, or what we've learned about the IDF, Netanyahu, the Israeli government since October 7th. As an American, viewing and doing whatever I think I can do to push for a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire, and release of all hostages, I really have been thinking about and going through the information and looking at the details in regards to the IDF and Netanyahu's involvement. And I'm going to say just shortly, let's just start with October 7th, because we know this occupation has been going on for quite some time, right? We know the history, but let's just start with October 7th. So what we know about October 7th so far, or October 7th moving forward, we know that the Israeli government ignored the warnings of Hamas planning an attack. They knew for an entire year before, okay? No preparation for this apparently, but they knew. They were being warned. Also, we have learned that suitcases of money, suitcases of cash were being given to Hamas by Netanyahu and the Israeli government. You can Google the reasons that have been provided as to why, but it is a fact, and other individuals in that government have confirmed that originally it was suitcases of cash, and then after this person came into the government, they really pushed for the means as to which how Hamas was paid to be different than just letting people walk around with suitcases of cash. But the payments to Hamas did not stop. Okay, so that's the second thing. So we know that they were ignoring the attack warnings. We also know now that they had been paying Hamas for years. And you can Google, again, the reasons that have been provided by Netanyahu and the Israeli government as to why. And I'm telling you to Google what they are providing, because number one, I don't want to get it wrong. And number two, I don't necessarily believe that that's the reason why they were doing what they've been doing. Okay? So the third thing is that on October 7th, the response time from the Israeli government, the IDF, has been reported to be anywhere from 8 hours for some people, people that were in these cahoots and at that music festival, to 20 hours. So what was the IDF doing? What was Netanyahu doing? What was the Israeli government doing that they could not respond to try to protect or counterattack on behalf of their own people? This is not only a question that we as Americans should be asking, because we're supporting this shit with our tax dollars. We're being forced to support this shit with our tax dollars. But more importantly, Jewish people, Israeli people, you should be asking these questions. Like, every single time I post something about Palestine, I have someone in my comments asking me questions about, why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about that? You should be asking these questions of the IDF and Netanyahu and the Israeli government, because they are the ones who sat back and waited for 8+ hours to respond to an attack on your people. Let me move on. So we got the response time 8 to 20 hours for some folks. We got suitcases of cash going to pay Hamas. Israeli government paying Hamas. And then we also have, even prior to that, the Israeli government ignoring warnings that this attack was going to happen. Let me move on. We also have learned that there have been licensing contracts that were signed with several companies shortly before the October 7th attack on behalf of the Israeli government. Netanyahu made these negotiations with these companies to come in and drill in the Mediterranean Sea and drill for oil. Now, wouldn't it be grand if they found oil, and then Netanyahu and that government, the Israeli government, and also I heard Italy, probably the U.S. would benefit from it as well. Those companies can move ashore and move into Gaza and continue drilling. Wouldn't it be grand if it just worked out that way? And there were no people to protest it. There were no people to say, no, that's my land. You can't do this without either paying me or my permission. Wouldn't it be grand if you removed all of those obstacles? Think about that. So you have the licensing contracts to drill oil. You have killing of hostages. On December 15th, the IDF killed Israeli hostages. Now, what you really need to know that is important and key information in regards to these specific Israeli hostages, they emerged out of a building with no shirts on, with hands raised, waving a stick with a white flag or t-shirt on it or something like that. And also one of them was speaking in Hebrew, and all three of them still got killed. So this is the second time, because we already know that the IDF also killed some Israeli folks on October 7th. We know that as well. That information has been provided by the Israeli government. That information has been spread across social media and TikTok by Israeli soldiers.